Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Invisible Friend and the Disappearance of Everyone, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Peppa started talking to someone while playing alone. "She's my new friend," she said. "No one else can see her. Only me." Mummy and Daddy Pig laughed. "Everyone has imaginary friends," Daddy Pig said. But with each day, Peppa grew quieter. She ate less. She kept staring into the empty corner of the room. "She says you want to take me away," Peppa whispered. One night, her parents heard a voice coming from the children's room. It wasn't Peppa's voice. "She's with us now," said something in a wet, whispering tone. They rushed into the room. The bed was empty. On the floor, a chalk circle, and inside it, "Do not disturb, playing with Peppa." The pig family called Madame Gazelle for help. She was not only a teacher, but, according to rumors, understood strange things. Madame Gazelle came to the house and immediately noticed the circle on the floor. She turned pale. "That's an ancient mark, a play seal. It must not be erased, or the one inside will be trapped forever." "Where is Peppa?" Mummy Pig cried. "She's there, but not alone," Madame Gazelle said quietly. That night, Madame Gazelle stayed in the house alone. At midnight, the room grew cold. A black shadow drifted out from the corner, with eyes all over its body. "I'm playing," the shadow whispered. "You're playing too. You're all playing." No one knows what happened that night, but the entire pig family vanished, and no one has been able to find them since. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Peppa's Last Birthday, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Peppa woke up in a great mood. Today was her birthday. Balloons, cake, presents, everything was ready. Mummy and Daddy Pig had decorated the house, and George drew a birthday card. All her friends were invited: Susie, Rebecca, Pedro, Danny. Even Madame Gazelle had promised to come. But when the party time arrived, no one showed up. "Maybe they're running late," said Mummy Pig, pouring some juice. "Maybe," Peppa replied, but deep inside she felt something strange. She decided to go look for her friends herself. First, she went to Susie's house. The door was open. Inside, silence. On the floor lay a single note written in shaky handwriting: "Don't go where the song begins." Peppa returned home. The house was empty. The lights started flickering, and from deep in the hallway she heard a voice, a child's voice, familiar. It was singing, "Happy birthday, Peppa." She ran upstairs to her room, and there she saw a photo that hadn't been there before. In it, Peppa, George, Mummy, Daddy, and all her friends. They were standing in a circle, but their eyes were closed, and behind them stood a black figure with long arms and a crooked smile. On the back of the photo it read, "This party is forever. Now you're one of us." The next day, the pig family vanished, but the house remained. And inside it, every evening, the same song echoes, "Happy birthday, Peppa." Hello everyone, our dear and loyal subscribers. You may have noticed that in every video, the same silhouette appears, the same shadow. Someone is following our beloved piglets. Very strange and scary. We also notice that in the episodes where Peppa receives strange letters, or when texts are scratched onto trees, or written in a fast, messy handwriting, it's always the same handwriting. Let's compare the silhouettes from past videos. For example, the one in the window and the one in the water. They do look similar, right? The silhouette in the hallway and the one in the forest. They're the same. So it seems that Peppa, George, and their family are being followed by some kind of monster. And not just them. In recent videos, we've seen that even Susie Sheep has started noticing strange things happening at her house. It's all so weird and mysterious, isn't it? Let's try to guess. What is this shadow? Why is it following our lovely little friends? Maybe it's someone's prank. Or maybe it's me. The very same shadow. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Lake Without Reflections, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One sunny day, Peppa, George, and Susie went for a walk to the lake. But this wasn't an ordinary lake. It was deep in the forest, and no one they knew ever went there. I heard the water there is magical, said Susie. Or creepy, added George. I heard you can't see your reflection there. Peppa laughed. That's silly. Everyone has a reflection. They reached the water. The lake was still, no ripples, no sound. Peppa leaned forward and saw nothing. No reflection of herself. No Susie. No George. The water was black like glass, but empty. It's just the light, said Peppa, though her voice trembled. Suddenly something appeared on the surface, a shadow, as if someone was standing behind them. They turned around. No one was there. But in the water, the shadow remained, and then it started to move. On its own, it copied them but a few seconds late. Peppa stepped back, but her shadow in the water didn't move. And then it smiled. We're leaving, Susie shouted. As they ran away, a whisper rose from the lake. Now I know what you look like. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Peppa's Nighttime Adventure, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One summer, Peppa, George, and Susie went camping with Daddy Pig. They set up tents in the forest, built a campfire, and roasted marshmallows. Tonight we sleep under the stars, Daddy Pig said cheerfully. Can we tell a scary story? Susie suggested. Daddy Pig told them a tale about the forest shadow, a creature that appears in the darkest corners of the woods and mimics those who notice it. Everyone shivered a bit, but then they laughed and went to sleep. Night. The moon hid behind the clouds. It was dark. Peppa woke up to a rustling sound. Who's there? She whispered. Silence. Only the faint rustle of grass. She peeked out of the tent. The fire had burned out and the forest felt different, too quiet. Even the crickets were silent. Then, movement. Between the trees, Peppa saw a silhouette. It was standing exactly like her. Then it lifted its arm. At the same time, Peppa did. Is that my reflection? She thought. But there was no water, no glass, just the forest. And that figure, it looked like a pig, but something was off. Peppa backed into the tent, breathing fast. She shook George awake. Someone's out there. It's copying me. George peeked outside, and the figure was closer now. He screamed. Daddy Pig jumped out of the tent with a flashlight. The beam lit up the trees, and the figure vanished. There's no one there, kids. Must have been your imagination, Daddy Pig said, though his voice was shaking a little. Morning. The sun was shining, birds were singing. It was as if the night had never happened. But while they packed up, Peppa walked over to a tree and saw a drawing scratched into the bark, a silhouette with her shape, and underneath it, A message. Let's play again tonight. Deleted Peppa Pig episode Not George, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. The episode begins as usual. Peppa and George are playing in the garden. Daddy Pig calls them to dinner. Peppa runs into the house first. George stays behind. A minute later, he comes in. But something is wrong with him. He is silent. His pet dinosaur is in his hand, but it is upside down, head down. He does not answer when Peppa speaks to him. He just looks at her for a long time.
George, are you okay?
He blinks once and smiles too widely.
Yeah, Peppa.
The voice sounds like it was recorded on tape and played in reverse. In the night, Peppa wakes up to see George standing in the doorway of her room. He is not moving. He is just breathing too loudly. The next morning, she tells her parents. Mummy Pig says,
"But Peppa, George is asleep in his room all night."
Peppa runs to check. George is indeed asleep in bed. But behind the curtain there are scratches on the wall, thin even, for the number of nights that have passed. In the final scene, the camera pans to the entire family at the table. Everyone is eating, except George. He turns to the viewer and his eyes do not reflect the light. He whispers,
"I'm back." But it wasn't him who left.
The episode begins at night. Peppa wakes up to a strange sound. The telephone in the kitchen, an old rotary one, is ringing. She slowly walks downstairs. The kitchen is dark. The light doesn't turn on. The telephone continues to ring, slowly, drawn-outly, as if waiting. Peppa picks up the phone. Silence, and then her own voice. "You shouldn't have answered." The line is cut off. The next morning, everything in the house is as usual, except for one thing. No one remembers that they have a telephone. "It's gone," Peppa tells her mother. Mummy Pig turns silently and says, "What did you dial?" "I didn't dial, so he got through." The house gets quieter every day. The photos on the walls first faded, then disappeared. And Peppa began to hear the ringing more and more often, inside, in her ears. In the final scene, she goes down to the kitchen again at night. The phone is lying on the floor, without a cord. It rings. She picks it up. The screen says, You answered. Now you speak. Then and the last trembling ringing behind you.